असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय
I am extremely pleased to introduce the first of 12 episodes that have been prepared for teaching Kerala children to learn English better. The methodology that we use is known as language acquisition methodology. In this method, we introduce the children to a large number of life situations in which they have to use the language actually, and through real communication they are helped to imbibe the language. This process is different from conscious learning of language. This is unconscious picking up of the language, and therefore linguists call this method a language acquisition method. Although I believe that language learning is a holistic process, very often for practical purposes we have to think in terms of the 4 skills, namely listening, speaking, reading and writing. And in fact in these episodes we emphasize the spoken aspect, and that is listening comprehension and spoken English. The children who are making this tour belong to the age group 10 to 17, and it is presumed that they have mastered almost all the basic structures of the English language, and they have a vocabulary of nearly 2,000 at their command. Part 1 relates to certain passages spoken to these people so that they will be in a position to understand spoken English, and they will be given questions based on what they have heard, and if they are able to answer the questions, that will be a test of listening comprehension. In the second part we deal with life situations in which language is used in order to carry out certain things. For instance, requesting the way is a function in language, and in the second part practice is given to the pupils in using appropriate language forms for asking questions. And in the third, there is a third part in which a little bit of usage is explained without much of grammatical terminology. There is no reference to phonemic aspect of language. It's only the system of language, that is the structural system, that has been emphasized in the third part. Dear pupils, we are going on a new program of language learning, and for this we are going out on a tour of the whole of Trivandrum city and its suburbs. Through actual life situations we are going to acquire language, and therefore the program becomes language acquisition program. Under this program we don't learn language, but we pick up language as we did in the case of our own mother tongue. This is real natural learning of language through life situations. I wish you all well.
On the southwestern tip of India is Kerala, a land of blue skies, coastline, backwaters, lakes and rivers. It is bounded by the Arabian Sea in the west and the Western Ghats in the east. Coconut palms swaying in the breeze give this beautiful landscape a blanket of greenery. Traditionally an agricultural state, Kerala retains pockets of paddy fields ploughed by oxen. Following a rich harvest, the people revel in exuberant water sports and religious festivals marked by cultural extravaganza. Fishing is a major activity. One finds a series of fishing villages all along the Golden Coast. Thiruvananthapuram, the capital city, is along an overwhelming coastline that boasts some of the best beaches in the country. The deity of Lord Vishnu, reclining on the serpent Ananta at the Padmanabha Swami temple, is said to have given the city its name. Focal points in the city include the majestic Legislative Assembly, the museum complex and the zoo, as well as the Kanagakunnu Palace. The Thiruvananthapuram Airport, with its international terminal, and the Central Railway Station teem with tourists every season. The city has a vibrant history, relics of which remain in the observance of heritage, various monuments, listed buildings and places of interest. In an era of unrest, this small city has an old world charm and strives to maintain a cultural harmony that has been much cherished by its people. With an active nightlife, it is soon developing into one of the metros in India.
Vijay, how did Thiruvananthapuram get its name?
The deity of Lord Vishnu reclining on the serpent Ananda at the Padmanabha Swami temple is said to have given the city its name.
What can Thiruvananthapuram boast of, Uma?
Thiruvananthapuram, the capital city, is along an overwhelming coastline that boasts some of the best beaches in the country.
Praveen, where do we find the relics of the city's vibrant past?
In the monuments, listed buildings and places of interest.
We have a story too for the pupils to listen to and understand. Stories are always interesting to children, and so they listen to the stories intently.
Today, I shall tell you a story. Please listen carefully. I'll ask you a few questions at the end.
Once upon a time, there lived a very foolish man. He spent most of his time lazing around or relaxing on an easy chair in the veranda of his house. When he chose to act, he drove everyone up the wall with what he said and did. His family members, Friends and neighbors grew tired of this behavior. They tried very hard to counsel him into a more normal way of life, but without much success. One day, he climbed up a very tall tree and started cutting off the branch he sat on. A passerby on his way to the market was amazed to see a man attempting something so stupid and dangerous. He shouted a warning, but the fool, intent on his job, did not hear him. The passerby tried to rush to his rescue, but before he could reach the tree, the fool fell down. It took him 2 weeks to recover from a broken back. Soon after this incident, he met a wandering sannyasi. The latter had been to the Himalayas for a long time and was known to possess divine skills. The fool wanted to know his fate. So he went up to the sannyasi and sought his blessings. The sannyasi gave him a piece of thread and said that he would die the day the thread tore to pieces. The fool received the thread happily and was thrilled that he had come across a really gifted person. He went home and put the thread safely away in a box. The days went by. The fool kept checking the thread every day. He breathed freely only when he saw the thread intact in the box. One morning, he opened the box as usual and got the shock of his life. The thread had finally worn off. His life was over. He went back to bed and lay still, eyes closed, without speaking. He was dead, wasn't he? His wife's agonized wailing, the contempt of his relatives, and the bewilderment of his son fell on deaf ears. Nothing that his wife and friends said would convince him otherwise. They thought this was the limit, but the fool was adamant in his stupidity. In the end, the neighbors decided to make arrangements for his funeral. That was the only way to cure him of this foolishness. They dressed him in fine clothes, placed flowers and a wreath on his body, and took him to the funeral grounds. At the funeral ground, logs of wood were brought in, and a fire was soon ready. They put the fool on the pyre and covered him with wood. A close friend carefully set fire to the pile. The moment the pyre caught fire, the fool ran away in pain.
What did the fool do on climbing the tree?
He cut off the branch he was sitting on and fell down.
Who gave him the piece of thread?
A sannyasi.
How did the neighbors cure him of his foolish act?
They put him on a funeral pyre and lit the fire. When the fool got scorched, he ran away in pain.
Now we are moving on to Part 2, Speech Act. We have to remember that in spoken English, the language used by the speaker has to be accurate, fluent, and appropriate. These are the three qualities of good spoken English. Accuracy means speaking in the correct manner, observing unintentionally the rules of grammar. Second is fluency, which requires a speaker of English to be normal in his speed of speech. And the third, appropriacy, means to be polite to people to whom we have to be polite, and so on. So that depends on the person who hears what is spoken. And appropriacy requires a lot of language forms and conventionalities to speak in an appropriate manner.
Excuse me, could you tell us the way to the zoo, please?
Sure. Go straight, take the road on the left, pass the temple until you reach the Vellambalam Square. From there, turn left, go past the Java Balabhavan and the Kanakunu Palace till you reach the next junction. You see the zoo straight ahead on the right side of the road. The entrance to the zoo is near the traffic lights.
So we go straight, pass the temple and the Vellambalam Square and turn left and go on. Then we pass the Jawahar Balabhavan and the Kanakakunda Palace till we see the zoo straight ahead next to the traffic lights.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice trip.
The conversation we listened to just now highlights the use of polite statements. This is how you make a request.
Excuse me, could you tell us the way to the zoo, please?
Excuse me, could you tell us the way to the zoo, please?
Sure. Go straight, take the road on the left, pass the temple until you reach the Vellambalam Square. From there, turn left, go past the Java Balabhavan and the Kanakunu Palace till you reach the next junction.
So we go straight, pass the temple and the Vellambalam Square and turn left and go on. Then we pass Jawahar Balabhavan and the Kanakakunda Palace till we see the zoo straight ahead next to the traffic lights.
It's a common tendency to say turn to left or turn to right instead of turn to the left or turn to the right. Please note the appropriate usage.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice trip.
Thank you very much is a polite phrase in English. The appropriate response would be you are welcome or it's my pleasure.
How do I get to the secretariat?
Do you see the church down the street?
Yes.
Walk right up the road. It'll take you only a minute or two to reach the secretariat.
Will you help me get to this address?
Yes. Take a bus to Kaudiyar, get down at the Jawaharnagar stop, turn right into the Jawaharnagar colony. The house you're looking for will be on the 3rd street.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The patterns of these questions may differ.
How do I get to the secretariat?
Do you see the church down the street?
Yes.
Walk right up the road. It'll take you only a minute or two to reach the secretariat.
Will you help me get to this address?
Yes. Take a bus to Kaudiyar, get down at the Jawaharnagar stop, turn right into the Jawaharnagar colony. The house you're looking for will be on the 3rd street.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Part 3, language practice. Language practice requires that a child or a learner who hears English has to practice doing it, repeating the same pattern several times. This was one of the methods used by people who believed in the behavioral school of psychology. And in modern linguistics, communication is do not approve of much language practice. We have decided to have a via media policy, using some practice and using a lot of life situations to really practice the language.
Excuse me, could you please tell me where the tickets counter is?
That way.
Okay, thank you. Can we take tickets, please?
Yes.
13 tickets, 12 kids and 1 adult.
Will you hold my bag for a moment, please?
Would you take a photograph of the three of us, please?
May I stay here for some more time? I would like to see the hippos as they get out of the water.
Do you mind if we go out to see the birds?
Would you mind lending me your camera? I would like a snapshot of the giraffe.
Could we take a break now? It has been a long walk.
In the conversation we listened to just now, we saw the pattern of polite responses and requests. Here are more ways of asking a polite question in daily life. Can, will, could, would, may and shall are words often used in such situations.
Excuse me, could you please tell me where the tickets counter is?
That way.
Okay, thank you. Can we take tickets, please?
Yes.
13 tickets, 12 kids and 1 adult.
Will you hold my bag for a moment, please?
Would you take a photograph of the three of us, please?
May I stay here for some more time? I would like to see the hippos as they get out of the water.
Do you mind if we go out to see the birds?
Would you mind lending me your camera? I would like a snapshot of the giraffe.
Could we take a break now? It has been a long walk.
In the introduction to the city of Thiruvananthapuram, we also came across the frequent use of a, an and the three articles in English. As you know, a and an are indefinite articles, while the, which refers to something specific, is the definite article. As a general rule, when you talk about something for the first time, you use a or an in the case of countable nouns. Here are a few examples.
There's a monkey on the tree.
I hear the zoo has an elephant. The elephant is the largest animal on land.
The bird over there is a heron.
Look, there's a rhino.
Do you want to see a herd of deer?
The articles are normally unstressed but may be stressed for special emphasis. Thus, the word the can be pronounced the or the depending on whether the following sound is a vowel or not. Thus, it is the pronunciation and not the spelling of the following word that determines the sound of the definite article. Therefore, we say the elephant is the largest animal on land.
There's a monkey on the tree.
I hear the zoo has an elephant. The elephant is the largest animal on land.
The bird over there is a heron.
Look, there's a rhino.
Do you want to see a herd of deer?
The zebra is an animal with stripes.
The albino peafowl is a rare species.
The indefinite article is a before consonants and an before vowels. So we say a rare species, an animal.
The zebra is an animal with stripes.
The albino peafowl is a rare species.
Let's see how these articles are used in the narration on Thiruvananthapuram city.
So we took a look at some of the important aspects of language, namely how to ask for information. Secondly, how to use the articles in the proper manner. And thirdly, how to listen to spoken English with a certain amount of understanding.
Asato ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Mritangamaya.